Well, good. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to have people coming in as we're going through the afternoon. It's our variety show, the open house, all different kinds of topics, and people sharing their wisdom. So we have Dr. Regan Kapach. Did I get it right?
Kapach, yeah.
Kapach.
Yeah, we got it, yeah. Kapow.
Yeah, right on. And I don't know if anybody's taken advantage of an offer of a free ear treatment. She's an acupuncturist, and yeah, she's in store here as well today. And where are you practicing?
So I have a small home office in Sonalta downtown, and then I'm also at another clinic called Wellness on First, which is in the Northwest, just close to 16th Avenue and First Street.
Yeah. Okay, amazing. So yeah, we're going to be diving into managing perimenopause. Yep. And let me just bring this up now. And for those that are online, feel free to post any questions anytime. And we're going to go for 45 minutes, and then we'll take a break. Get into it. All right. So let's just see here. Full screen. Get into the slideshow. There we go.
And so where will I see?
So you're going to see, we'll do them after.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We'll
okay.
Go, okay. So once, perfect. Okay. So I can just go.
So ahead. Yeah, if you stand here.
Yep.
Just go forward, back.
Okay. Perfect.
You're good.
Okay. Super.
All right. Thanks again.
Thank you so much for having me, Malcolm.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Appreciate it. Yeah,
so welcome.
Great opportunity. So. Notes here. That one. Okay. Super. Okay. Great. Thank you, everyone, for coming. I'm glad to see you all here. So yes, we're here for managing perimenopause with supplements and acupuncture and how that can all help. Come on in, we're just starting. Yeah. My name is Dr. Regan Kapach, and I'm a traditional Chinese medicine doctor, and I'm also a registered acupuncturist in Calgary here. The difference between the two, in case you're interested, is that TCMD, which is up there, and I'll use the term TCM quite often, so it stands for traditional Chinese medicine. Oh, okay. Oh, okay, I will try. I'm so soft-spoken. I'll do my best. So yeah, traditional Chinese medicine means that I studied herbology. So it complements acupuncture. The combination of them together is a powerhouse of health. So I decided to do the double major, and that's what separates me from just being an acupuncturist. Okay, so these are the topics we're going to go over today. Is that better? Is that projecting a bit more? Okay, good. So I'll just go a little bit into how I got into acupuncture. So you'll see wood plus travel plus wine equals acupuncture. It's an easy, easy combination. Everyone has this story, so I'll get into mine a little bit. And then I'll go through what perimenopause looks like from like the Western perspective, what's sort of going on physiologically inside of our bodies, just to get that handle, and then and what we can do from a supplemental point of view. And then I'll look at it from a Chinese medicine viewpoint and give you, how that looks from a TCM standpoint, how acupuncture can alleviate symptoms. And then we'll go into some lifestyle and dietary suggestions, what a treatment looks like, and then I'll open the floor for questions and answers. And then I will do, if anyone is interested, we'll do the ear seed application as well after, and I can explain what that is when we get there. Okay. So just before we get into the Western stuff, I'll talk about how I got into Chinese medicine. Basically, there's 5 elements in TCM, and they actually can create our personalities as well. So it goes into internal medicine, but it also influences our personality. So there's 5 main elements: fire, earth, metal, water, and wood. And 2 of those elements drive your personality. So for me, I'm wood and metal primary. So when you think about wood can be, it starts as like a bamboo shoot in the ground. So you think about anything that's emerging out of the ground in the springtime, it has this drive, this energy, and you can see that. You can probably feel that with my energy. It's kind of direct, it's focused. And so that's part of a wood personality. I also have the need for movement, so that upward and outward growth. So I was big into travel when I was younger. And then the metal side of me, metal's kind of a poor description of the term. It's more about precious things that are mined from the earth. So if you think about, yes, metals, but also like precious gems and the structure that comes with that. So people who are metal can be, they have attention to detail. They might have very strong boundaries. And they also are able to like mine information that's valuable that others may not see. So that can be anything from like an art curator, often they're like graphic design artists. But on the counter side of that, they can also be very good accountants. So I was terrible at math. That's not part of mine, but I was always interested in art as well. So that's kind of the metal side of things. But yeah, lots of attention to detail as well. So yeah, I traveled. I always had a fascination with Eastern cultures. I studied Japanese language and Asian studies when I was in university. And while I was working, or while I was in university, I was always working at restaurants that got to fine dining levels. And I ended up tasting better and better wines. And so I finished my university degree and I was like, yep, that's it. On to the next thing, the wood growth thing. And so I ended up becoming a winemaker. So I was a winemaker for 15 years. It was a lot of fun for sure. I had a great time doing it. But it felt a little bit hollow. I just felt like there was something missing. And both my parents were in the health industry. So I feel like it was just kind of a genetic thing that I just wanted to give something back. So those were kind of the main things that drove me towards the health industry. The two other main triggers that got me into it is that I always suffered from really bad cramps with my periods, dysmenorrhea. And it just never made sense to me why, as natural creatures, we should be in pain. Like, this is a natural phenomenon. Why does it have to be that way? And also, like, why me? But my friend didn't have any symptoms whatsoever. And there was never any explanation for that. It was just take the medications and get on with your life. And so that always bugged me about Western medicine. The second thing that got me into it is that my partner at the time had severe mental issues, lots of anxiety, PTSD, a whole plethora of things. And when we went to get help, the only suggestions were really like heavy medication and talk therapy. And it just was never really enough. And so I ended up going into Chinese medicine. And the greatest thing about it was that they have a reason for everything. The goal of Chinese medicine is to get to the root cause. Because if we have the root cause, it's like having a destination on a map. You know how to get there. There might be lots of routes to get there, but at least you know where you're going. Because if you don't know where you're going, what are we doing? We're just floundering, right? So that's the biggest draw for me to get into Chinese medicine. Okay, so we'll get into our main topic today. So yes, we're talking about the elephant in the room. Another women's health issue that we're expected to deal with quietly. Show up to work, be our best, take care of our kids, take care of people around us, and also try to take care of ourselves at the same time. So I'm here to tell you that you don't have to just deal with it, that there are natural ways to improve your symptoms and get real results. The other thing is that I wanted to change your perspective on perimenopause because it gets a pretty bad rap for lots of reasons, but it's actually an opportunity for us to dig deep into our own health and recognize the imbalances that are going on right now. So it's a major shift in our lives. We go from caring for others to caring for ourselves. It's the opportunity to start caring for ourselves more. It's a chance to improve our quality of life so that we can actually see the rest of it out and enjoy it at the same time. But the timing is really important. So right now, our body is going through a shift. It's creating like a new status quo because we're not creating hormones that we used to. There's a huge rearrangement of how things function. So it's almost like we're writing a new instruction booklet on how we're going to run. And we need to decide, is this what we want things to look like now? Or do we want something different? Do we want something better? So, lots of women out there, and I understand why. There's a huge amount of dread to it. Some choose to suppress it completely, go take hormone supplements, IUDs and all that sort of thing, and just pretend it's not happening. And I get when it's too much. I understand the reasoning behind that, but there's actually a lot of benefits to continuing to have a cycle on a monthly basis. So these are some things that we didn't know we actually benefited from getting or creating our own estrogen and progesterone. So estrogen, naturally produced, actually helps you lose abdominal fat. It prevents insulin resistance, which reduces your risk of late onset diabetes. It actually increases our muscle strength and the desire to move our body, which we need to do. It's actually a natural appetite suppressant. I've got a couple of U's in there, and it helps our metabolism as well. Progesterone is actually a mind calmer. It reduces anxiety, helps us sleep, reduces inflammation, helps us regulate our immune system. It builds bones. You know, osteoporosis is the big buzz thing when we get older. Helps protect the heart, and it also contributes to the metabolic rate. So there is actually a benefit to having natural cycles. The longer we produce these hormones, the more we reduce the risk of heart disease, dementia, osteoporosis, breast cancer, and the list goes on. So now when I get a period, there's a little joy there. I still curse a lot, but there's a tiny little bit of joy. So that's a nice thing. So that's just good to keep in mind. Okay, and so just to review here, again, reiterate that this is actually a window of opportunity for us. There's lots going on. This is what we're going to look at in the next few slides. So how it's affecting our brains, our kidneys, our metabolism. And then we'll get into yin and yang and get into the Chinese medicine side as well. So the biggest things that are going on right now is recalibration of our brains and hormones, delegation of responsibilities for producing the hormones that we're not making anymore, and as well as our nutritional needs are going to change. Okay. So our brain is being rewired. It actually uses hormones for a lot of different functions. It's actually a mind calmer, and it also, progesterone is actually a mind calmer, and it also reduces inflammation. So when the brain stops having access to that, this is when we start getting this moodiness that happens. The insomnia kicks in. And then when you think of inflammation, that's one of the major contributors to like Alzheimer's and dementia and that kind of thing. So suddenly the brain doesn't have the hormones that it was using to regulate. So one thing we can do to help that is to pamper our nervous system in general. So not necessarily just the brains, but our nervous system. So does anyone remember in physiology class the two types of, there's a few actually types of nervous system that we have? There's sympathetic and parasympathetic. Yeah, we got it. So sympathetic is our fight and flight. So we go into sympathetic when there's an emergency happening, when our lives are at risk. And so our digestion shuts down and all the blood circulation goes to our heart so that we can, fight or flight, run away when we need to. And And so, yeah, that's emergency situation. Then we want, but yeah, we're aiming for parasympathetic, and that's rest and relax. So that's what we do when there's no risk. Our digestion kicks back in. We can sleep better, all this sort of thing. Blood circulation goes back to our limbs, and we just function normally. So we need to hamper our nervous system the best way that we can. And I'll get into how in the next one. So in the next slide. So just to go over what's happening with the delegation of responsibilities, because our ovaries stop producing estrogen, our kidneys actually have to replace that. So they're going to be more taxed in general. So they're going to have to work extra hard. Yes, go ahead. Yeah. Yeah, the how is going to be the next slide. Sorry. Yeah, I'm giving you all of the things that we're going to work on, and then we'll go into the how. So, so yeah, our kidneys are going to be extra taxed, and they're going to start to produce more adrenaline. And so we start to see like chronic fatigue and adrenal fatigue and that kind of thing. So that's happening at the same time. Our nutritional needs are going to change. We have an increased need for more protein in our diet as we reach perimenopause. The average, and it depends on your body weight, would be like 65 to 70 grams in an entire day. And we need this because we want to reduce insulin resistance, which can set in at this time. So protein is good for that. Okay, so let's get into how do we do all this? Okay. So, hate to tell you, caffeine and alcohol, they're two big ones that it's great to reduce. Caffeine is an obvious stimulant, and alcohol is, I mean, we know it's not great for the body anyway, but it reduces melatonin, so that's the hormone that helps us sleep. It's also it's hot in nature. So if we're already dealing with night sweats, hot flashes, it's just contributing to those issues. So hamper the nervous system by creating a system for dealing with stress. How many of you actually have tools that you go to when you're stressed out? Got a few. Yeah, some of us don't. Hobbies, that kind of thing. It's important to nurture your own hobbies as stress relief. So trying to figure out what works for you and actually implementing those tools. Because if we just suppress it, again, stress releases cortisol and taxes your adrenals even further. Magnesium and taurine, those are two supplements that you can get that just help settle the nerves, basically. I have to, I'll get back to you on that because it's not a familiar one for me either. So yeah. Magnesium, everyone's sort of more familiar with that one too. Did I get you a handout? I'll get you a handout as well. You've got it as well. Okay, good. Regulate your circadian rhythm. So this is another way to help your nervous system. Blue light. So we think of the sun as yellow, but it's actually blue. Who knew? So blue light first thing in the morning, that is a trigger to your brain that it's daytime. So it's like, okay, yeah, it's time to be awake. Getting out into nature also helps. So if you can go for like a walk first thing in the morning. And with our sleep, we know actually naps are very good for your circadian rhythm as well. We think I don't sleep at night, so I better not sleep during the day. It's actually harder on the body because it triggers your adrenals to make adrenaline to get you to push you through that afternoon. So it's actually great to have naps. I mean, we realize how important it is for kids to have naps. But as we get older, we have too many things to do and we just push it aside and we don't take care of ourselves because we've got all this other stuff to do. So it's super important. The other thing is trying to eat before you go to bed. Eating later at night triggers your, it just triggers the system. It's like, oh, I've got to ramp up again. So it starts to boost the system and then you're awake again. So trying not to eat too late at night. A bath later at night, even though you get warm in the bath, that shift from having a hot body temperature to cold, going from hot to cold actually makes you sleepy. So physically, that's one thing you can do, is just have a bath before bedtime. The other big thing you can do is try to get all your protein in before noon, and ideally actually before 10 o'clock in the morning. So basically what's happening now, it's getting the protein. Oh, it signals to your genes that regulate insulin and your metabolism that you've had enough during the day, or you're getting most of what you need during the day. So you can actually eat an entire day's calories before noon, but if you don't get enough protein, your body will still think you need food, and so it's going to tell you that you're hungry, and that's how you get like munchies and all that sort of thing in the afternoon. So yeah, if you can get that protein in pre 10 o'clock, pre noon, that's going to help curb those sort of things. And it actually also helps your circadian rhythm as well. We mentioned alcohol reduces melatonin, which is what makes you sleepy. And we talked about naps already. So, okay. Kidney support. Kidneys love high mineral foods. So you can get those in supplements, and adaptogenic herbs or anything that just help you reduce stress. So there's a huge different list of different ones you can get. And again, that should be on the list that I've given you. High mineral foods can be, if you get yourself a good iodine supplement, you can get like a kelp-based iodine. That's quite good. The kidneys also need vitamin C to do what they do. So I take up to 1,000 milligrams in a day of vitamin C, and that's a completely healthy thing to do. It's also anti-inflammatory. Chlorella, which I think is also on your list there too. It's like a seaweed base, but it's like, yeah, lots of minerals in there. Chia seeds, list goes on. So, oh, and I think they also have, which I've never seen before, oyster powder, which I think is fascinating. So yeah, you've got lots of options in that sense. So, yeah, high mineral foods and trying to manage your stress levels, that will help with the kidneys as well. Hey, yes. The supplements, you can just take them whatever means that you need to. So whether that's in a smoothie, for me, I mix a whole concoction of different herbs, and it tastes terrible, but I just do it. You just knock it back and then it's done. So yeah, that's what I would do. Yeah. Yes.
I would ask you, how is it exactly kidney start? Because I understand what the ovaries would be.
Right. Yeah. Yes, I am too. I did not study that much anatomy and physiology. I did the basics for Chinese medicine, but I'm not sure how it works. Yeah, yeah.
What I've read is the renals that start producing.
Yeah.
People often lump the kidneys and the renals together.
Yes, yes. Right, yeah.
Functionality.
Yeah.
But I have read when the ovaries stop producing those hormones, the renals then kick in and start.
Yes. Yeah, yeah. I've generalized too when I say kidneys. So yeah, adrenals in general. So, but yeah, so we want to take care of them as best we can by keeping stress levels down, hamper the nervous system, and then these supplements as well. So there's a lot of Chinese medicine herbal formulas as well that are very good for kidneys and adrenals too. So that's something that I would do in a treatment as well, make suggestions on that note. So
what I've read is the adrenals are often exhausted by the time you hit late peri-menopause and menopause. And so there's a lot of cortisol being produced and stuff. So that's right. Impact how well or how much they can then take over producing their estrogen.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, we rely on them a lot, these tiny little things that, yeah. So Yeah, so there's a lot of herbs out there that can help. And I think I've got a list of it. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff on that handout in terms of what you could do for supplements for your adrenals as well. So, okay. I will give one to you if, yeah, there's some at the front. Yeah. Okay, yeah, come find me. Yeah, well, yeah, I'll make sure that you guys get one. Yeah, sounds good. Right. Supplement and move. So we've sort of talked about that already. If you are experiencing night sweats or like lots of heat, one thing you can do is you can sort of take control over when that flush is going to happen by releasing the sweat on your own time. So sweat every day, whatever that looks like to you. That could be in a sauna or it could be with movement, exercise. But if you release it once, at least it's going to happen on your terms instead of it just building and building and building, and then you try to go to bed at night and you wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and you're soaked because this heat's just building. So yeah. Yes. Well, everyone's different. Yeah. And so, and I'll go into that a little bit with the Chinese medicine side is that, you're going to have totally different symptoms from you. You may not get hot sweats at all. You might get, you might be moody or, so because everyone is so different, you both have had like completely different lives this entire time, right? So you're going to react. Well, insomnia is pretty, across the board. None of us sleep anymore. So yeah, how you react is going to be quite different for sure. So. And then it happened, yeah.
Something else is happening.
Right. Yeah. So what is it that's happening? That's you're like, oh, something worse, maybe. No, it's not the case. Everyone's just different. Yeah. So just be thankful you don't get those, which is nice. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to get to the good stuff. So as I mentioned in the intro, Chinese medicine, the whole purpose and what is drilled into us into school is that it will find the root cause of each of the symptoms that you have, and often they overlap. So you can have one cause that will create a multitude of different symptoms. So if we can get to that one cause, we can eliminate a whole bunch of things at once. That being said, Chinese medicine is a slow, natural medicine. So although you do see some results quickly, our bodies are meant to take time to change. And especially when this is a buildup of like pretty much the last decade or two. So I just tell people to try to be patient with themselves, trust that the medicine is working and that you will see changes eventually. Western medicine is excellent at being reactive. You go to the hospital when you have a broken arm or what have you. Often it's a Band-Aid though. It's not getting to the root cause. They'll give you something to get rid of your headache, but why did you have the headache in the first place? And that's where Chinese medicine shines. So it also supports all the internal organs. So there's basically, according to Chinese medicine, there's 12 meridians that run all the way up and down the body, and they each concentrate around one main organ. And so that's how they would get their name. There's the liver meridian and the spleen meridian and so on and so forth. So when we tap into those, they regulate everything that runs along that meridian, which is how it can alleviate joint pain, but also help your stomach ache. And it helps balance the system in general. So also because we're actually putting a needle into the fascia, which runs all the way up and down the body and connects with your nervous system too, it's going to temper and help your nervous system completely. So as most of you have had acupuncture, so it's very relaxing. You haven't had it, but it's actually really relaxing. It sounds terrifying and it looks terrifying. When you're putting needles in me and you want me to relax, it sounds crazy, right? But it is. It's amazing. I have patients that fall asleep before I'm done needling. Yeah, right? Deeply, right? And that's your body going, okay, finally, I'm getting the help that I need. So It can be scary at first, but it's slow. You just take it one thing at a time, and yeah, it's quite relaxing. Yes, and I do that too. Yeah, I've got pamphlets on that too. I do that. Oh, did you? Yeah. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna do 4 examples of symptoms that are very common, and how Chinese medicine looks at those symptoms, and then how it's treated. So we've got lots of time too. So everything is built of yin and yang. Everything has one of those components to it. And there's billions of examples of both yin and yang. Just find where I am here. So yin is everything that is, it can be structure. So tissues, bones, muscles, organs, anything that is solid and firm. And it also includes fluids, blood, and it's more of a cooling nature. Okay. It also includes, progesterone. And can be considered a buffer, which I'll get to in a second. Yang is sort of the opposite. So yang is like the intangible, it's the energy that flows through us. It's very warming, and it also relates to our mind. And sorry, I have mind down at yin, which was a mistake. So yang has to do with your mind in particular. Okay. So as we age, our bodies naturally start to get worn down, and that's like a disintegration of yin. That's what that's considered. And so because we're losing this buffer, this cooling aspect, anything that is already there, everything that's yang, will start to feel warmer. So this is the example of how night sweats and hot flashes happen. So anyone in front of a campfire, gone camping before when it's cold outside, done the marshmallow thing? So when you want to warm up your hands, if you've got gloves on, so this is our structure, our buffer, our yin, and you want to warm up your hands, you go to the fire, but you don't leave the gloves on, do you? You take your gloves off, because that will be warmer. So the yin that has been disintegrating, that's been removed. And so suddenly that buffer is gone. And even though we don't have more heat in our system, we actually just feel it more because the buffer is missing. And so that's where we get this heat that's coming from. It's not that there's more of it, it's that there's just less yin in our system to buffer that temperature. So that sort of makes sense for people. So what acupuncture and herbs can do, we can slowly start to build that up. And acupuncture is actually very good for reducing heat and inflammation in the system. And it's removed through our digestive system and through sweat and that sort of thing as well. So we basically bring that into balance. And so we're not getting that extra heat anymore. And then we're building back up the yin. And then with nutrition as well, we can start looking to foods that are going to help supplement that too. So that's how that sort of works there. Okay, so with this extra heat comes agitation and irritability. So anyone ever dealt with a child that has had a fever before? Or maybe even a man with a man cold? We get grumpy, right? And so it's equally true in Chinese medicine that fire causes outbursts, explosions, and overall grumpiness. So it's that same sort of thing again, where this yin, this cooling, this calming sort of aspect is gone. And so, yeah, we're just this untethered yang energy that's, hard to control. So there's an organ in particular, bless you, that deals with, so each organ in Chinese medicine has an associated emotion. And so for liver, the emotion is anger. And so the classic example is of the angry alcoholic. Know this person that they're just always angry. They drink because they makes them feel better. Usually they have a lot of red and heat in their face. They often have headaches and they can't sleep. This is all this extra heat that's going on. And so, yes, if the liver is unbalanced, we tend to get grumpy and we tend to get angry and very irritable. It's also in charge of regulating hormones as well. So, yeah, if it's busy filtering alcohol, it can't do all the other jobs it's supposed to do. So acupuncture can help to regulate that meridian, and basically it helps smooth out the flow of qi so that, yeah, it reduces the heat, but it also allows things to run more smoothly, basically, so we're not as irritable and grumpy. And yeah, it's also helping to reduce the heat. And then also there's specific formulas for this as well. Okay. So into the next one. So this slide, I'm going to talk about two different symptoms. One being insomnia, and then the second one being absent-mindedness. And they both sort of relate when it comes back down to it. So again, if we get back to this root cause. So going back to the nature of yin, again, if we think about a hot air balloon, the yin is the structure and the ties that are holding the balloon to the ground, whereas the yang is the hot air that's going to lift the balloon into the air. And so basically, the balloon structure is holding that hot air, that yang, in place. It's keeping it under control. And so once we start losing this anchor, this yin nature, there's nothing to hold yang down. So at night, when we're waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning, it's because there's not enough yin in the system to anchor the yang, which is also considered the mind, or the shen it's called. So the hot air is let free. And so yang energy is fast and moving. And so we're planning, we're writing emails, we've like got our kids' weddings organized, all the things at like 2 o'clock in the morning, because there's nothing to anchor all of these thoughts anymore. That's what's sort of going on here. And in the same way, if you think about the mind as yang, if there's not that balloon structure, that yin holding it, we just go, we flit about, we don't, there's nothing to hold it down. So both of these are related to what's considered a yin deficiency in Chinese medicine. So again, we can work on that too. Acupuncture. So yeah, if we anchor the mind, we get better sleep and get better focus, which is what we all need, I think. All right. How long would you say the average visit to your general practitioner, your family doctor is? Yourself?
Not including the waiting time?
Oh yeah, not including the waiting time. That's a good point. Right? Yeah, yeah. 10 minutes, yeah. Anyone else? On your wait. Sorry? More or less, yeah, 10 or less. So with an acupuncture treatment, the initial intake is an hour and 25 minutes, or hour 15, somewhere around there. And it's because Chinese medicine is holistic, we go into your entire health history, because we want to see you as a holistic system, not just one symptom that you're trying to deal with. So by the end of it, we know what's going on internally with all your organs. We know what your health history is. We know what your current symptoms are, what you're doing with it. And so each treatment is completely individualized to what you're going through, not her and not her, but what you're going through. So that's why it can be so effective. All the points, there's 365 points in the body, and that's probably not a coincidence to the number of days in the year. And each of them has a specific function. So each treatment is going to address all of the imbalances in particular to what's going on with what your system needs. And the same goes with Chinese herbal formulas. So if you went to a Chinese medicine herbalist, there's not a generic formula for a headache. It's what kind of headache, when do you get them, how long do they last, what triggers it, is it sharp or is it dull, all these different things. So you can't just go and buy like a formula off the shelf. You have to have them diagnose you because it's like very specific to you. So again, that's why they're so yeah, can be super effective, which is great. Yeah, so I mean, and all the benefits, get back to stability in yourself, in your relationships, feel like yourself again. It can improve energy, it improves digestion because it works with every organ system in the body. So lots of good reasons to do it. So that combination with yeah, Western herbs and supplements and some lifestyle changes, and you can see some pretty dramatic results pretty quickly. So in terms of lifestyle and diet, flaxseed is considered an estrogen regulator. So if there's too much in the system, it'll actually reduce it. And if there's not enough, it will help you to produce more. So you can do a couple, they say a couple tablespoons ground per day. It's kind of hard. I've tried to do that. It's kind of hard just on its own. So if you can include it in like oatmeal or granola or something like that, so that it's coming in that way, that's a little bit easier to consume. As we mentioned before, yes, go ahead. 2 tablespoons per day. It's good, yeah. Yep, high mineral foods. I mentioned the chlorella. If you're not using like a sea salt, I would recommend getting like a Himalayan sea salt or a black sea salt. You know, they've got the Himalayan here. Bone broth is excellent. A range of different nuts. Legumes are very good. Avocados are high in minerals as well. Any sort of cruciferous vegetables, so broccolis, kales, cauliflower, that sort of thing. Chia seeds, as I mentioned before. Again, supporting your adrenal glands. Vitamin C, I mentioned. Get a good B12 going. Adaptogenic herbs. Reishi is also very good for adrenals, and I don't have it on here, but chaga as well is quite good. And rhodiola is also a nice adaptogenic herb there too. Going back again to if you do have sweats, night sweats and hot flashes, adding spicy food is just adding heat to the system, so might as well just clear that out. If you're not having that, then don't worry about it too much. So to try and introduce yin into your system, cooling things such as yogurts and dairy, but if you are struggling with weight, then I wouldn't go that route. What you can do to support yin in your system is coconut water. Something about it, the cells don't need to process it to get the hydration. They just like gobble it up. So it's naturally sweet, so go for an unsweetened version. And it has a different taste to it. It's a little bit like, it's got a little bit salty kind of thing going on. So not a lot of people, some people don't enjoy it, but again, you could just add it to a smoothie or whatever and just try and get it in there every once in a while. Again, if you do have heat symptoms, put your, you know, if you're getting enough water during the day, couple liters of water, put some sliced cucumber in there, chamomile, mint, and just let it decoct either overnight or just through the day, and you can sip on that during the day, and that's that has a cooling effect. The liver, again, helping your mood. So the liver loves dark leafy greens. Chrysanthemum tea is another good one. Yeah, most often, yeah, it has to do with the spleen doesn't like too much dairy, but that's for another day. Oh, as I mentioned before, so if you have the heat symptoms, try to sweat every day. Yes, to preserve your yin, you want to avoid diuretics, like we mentioned already, caffeine, alcohol. Coconut water is good. Finding that life-work balance to manage stress. Stress actually consumes yin. So if you think about in a motor or something like that, if you grind together 2 pieces of metal, they start to wear down. So that's that structure being worn down. So when you think of stress, your body tightens, right? And so that's similar sort of thing. So that can actually reduce yin in your system, is the stress that we have. And also when you reduce yin too much, if you think of that grinding action again, that creates heat. And this is where some of our hot flashes and night sweats come from, is this extra heat that we're building from the yin being ground down too. Endocrine disruptors, anything that has the words perfume or fragrance on it is messing with your endocrine system. And so that has to do with all of your hormone production. So it's crazy once you start realizing what this stuff is in. It's mind-boggling. It's in everything. So try to go unscented when you can. That's my suggestion. Get acupuncture on a regular basis to help the system. Sorry, we're gonna ask. Natural's fine, but it'll be labeled as parfum. So without that E on the end. So not perfume, but parfum. Yeah, F-U-M. Yeah. Oh, and we're getting close to the end of time there. So we just have a couple more minutes. So yeah, general intake is about 75 minutes. I think I've gone over this already. So we're going to go over all of your health history, your chief concerns, and it also includes an acupuncture treatment and herbal and formula suggestions. Follow-up treatments can be 45 or 60 minutes. We go over what the reported finding is, get a treatment plan going for you, and I'm able to make dietary and lifestyle tips. And then after, I'd say give it like 3 to 6 treatments to see how you're responding. And from that point, we reassess, we see if we need to do more going forward. But I usually see some improvement within the first 3 treatments. So you'll get an idea of the trajectory that you're on. Everyone's different. Everyone responds differently to these sort of things. So it also depends on what you're willing to input into it. So lifestyle changes are really hard. Diet changes are really, really hard. And I totally get that. The biggest thing about Chinese medicine is balance. And so if it's suggested to do something to change your diet or something that you really love, all I ask is that you start to make incremental changes, because I prefer you to do little things over time as opposed to just being like, it's too much and I can't do it at all. So you still want to be happy. So for me, like, I know I'm not supposed to have alcohol because it just makes me hot at night, but have a glass of wine occasionally with dinner. You have to be happy, because we're already dealing with enough crap as it is, right? So balance is really important, and I totally get what a challenge it is to change things. So thank you for your time. I appreciate it. We're going to get kicked out of here in a second, but I'm happy to do your seeds out by the table. And if you have any questions whatsoever, I've got business cards, and you can email me questions if you have anything further. And I'll get handouts to those who missed it going in. So yeah, go ahead. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, good. Oh, cool. Which one is it? Oh, okay. Yeah, there's so many. There's lots of different different herbs. Yeah, that's considered a herb. Yeah, yes, you can decoct it for sure. Yeah.